So think about a time in your life where your focus has caused you to go off course in a really negative way. I could have held on to the fact that my daughter, who I've had part in raising to be so sweet and kind and giving, gave me everything she had to give in this broken mermaid keychain.
Have you ever had a day where you just didn't want to show up? I mean, stuff happened to you and you're having one of those days where nothing seems to be working out for you. I sure have, and I'm sure you've had too. And actually, I've had those days recently. Now, let's just see. Please raise your hand if you've never had a bad day. No one? Well, there you go. Okay, since we all have had those days, what do you do when people are counting on you? Things have to get done, but you just don't feel like you want to show up. This is the subject of Brittany Anderson's she's going to discuss with you. Brittany's been a Genius Network member for over 3 years. She's 33 years old, the mother of 3 kids under 5, and the wife of a big kid under 35 years old, who stands 6 feet 5 inches tall. That alone should qualify her on this subject. Yet, for the past 10 years, Brittany's worked with and coached over 60 teams from many varied businesses, from financial services and insurance to farming and trucking, helping them deal with difficult times so they can show up. Plus, she's shared this concept on some big stages with the likes of Raymond James National Conference and in a few months at the $1 Million Roundtable Convention. Brittany's going to share a personal story that will hopefully frame for you what you can do when difficult times surround you. Brittany's title is Show Up. Please welcome Brittany Anderson. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. So, who's experienced a day like this? Total shitstorm. Joe Weldon, he even nodded his head. I caught that. So how do you handle a day like that? Do you hide out? Or do you choose to show up? By the end of my time here with you today, you're going to know how your attitude, energy, and perspective can have a significant impact on your life so that when these shitstorms happen, you can come out feeling like this. So I thought that by sharing my story with you here today, that I can help you decide how you choose to show up, even on the worst of days. So imagine it's your birthday. You're 33 years old. Do you remember waking up on your 33rd birthday? If you're not quite there yet, it might go something like this. You might wake up, feel pretty good. If you've ever seen the movie 13 Going on 30, you might be channeling the movie lines 30, flirty, and thriving. You feel fabulous. You got a significant other to flirt with on the daily, and your business is thriving. It's pretty good, right? So that's how I woke up.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
I was getting ready for my day. My sweet 5-year-old, she walks in, and she hands me this envelope. It's got Mom written in her precious, precious handwriting. So imagine that's your child. If you've ever been given an envelope from a little kid, you just never know what you're gonna get. So now imagine opening this envelope, and inside of it are 2 dimes, a penny, and a broken mermaid keychain. And you quickly realize that for a 5-year-old, these are her 4 most prized possessions, and she chose to give it to me. Has anybody ever given you all of their worldly possessions? I would say probably not. So imagine a morning like that. It's beautiful, it's touching. You get to the office and you walk into what can best be described as Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong did. That's exactly what I walked into. It was like a whirlwind of just crabby and chaos. So think about some of the worst days that you've experienced in your career and how quickly that will trump any feeling of being 30, flirty, and thriving. By the end of that day, I was literally hanging on by a thread, mentally and emotionally spent, done. So the only reprieve on a day like this is when you know that you can get into your car, have a solo drive, insert desperate search for some sappy song on the radio so you can just cry it out, like really, really hard, right? So despite my desire for dramatics, I decided to buck up because I was going home to my kids, my husband was working late, and I decided that, you know what? Regardless of anything else, we're gonna have fun on my birthday, gosh darn it. So think about the pep talks that you've had to give yourself when you've got chaos in here, but on the outside you wanna look calm. So I walk in to my wonderful children, and my 4.5-month-old at the time decided that fabulous was nothing I was gonna feel that day. He was so crabby, and my girls, they were starving and they needed spaghetti like right now, yesterday. So imagine a tiny little wolf pack just nipping at your ankles. So I want you to imagine you're cooking dinner, you're holding a crying baby, trying to console him. You're trying to get plates on the table for these little ravages, right? To have your phone ring. That's what was going on with me. So I look down, it's my grandparents. Bless their heart, they call me every year on my birthday to sing to me. So I'm trying to sit down, my son is bawling in my ear. I paint on this happy face, because you gotta answer the phone with a smile. Paint it on, they start on their chorus, and I hear this sweet little baby burp in my ear. However, there was nothing innocent about that, because I quickly realized there was vomit, baby puke, saturating my hair. Think about how you would feel in that instant. If you have children, you've probably been puked on. It's not fun. It stinks, especially when it's in your hair. What would you do? So think about a time that you have been so exhausted that a simple task like washing your darn hair seems impossible. That's exactly where I was at. And ladies and gentlemen, let me preface this by saying, sometimes you just have to do things to save your sanity. So that's what I did. I went to bed, I shut the lights off with my puke in my hair. Morning came, every intention of washing that hair, said puke and all, and my sweet son, he had other plans for me. So think about a time where you have been watching the clock. It's hopelessly ticking by. You know that you have a day full of jam-packed meetings. You've got a huge prospect call. At that point in time, I was thinking of just rescheduling everything. It was too much. You'd probably forgive that, right? So after a lot of overanalyzing, I decided to go by the mantra, hair in a bun, get shit done. So that's what I did. I put my hair in a bun, puke and all, and I went to get shit done. And you know what happened? On that day, I not only had productive meetings, but I closed my biggest prospect to date. That's what makes this a $250,000 idea, because when you choose to show up, you open doors that could have remained closed. My point in sharing this embarrassing and still all too raw story with you is that it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what we perceive as happening to us. What matters is that you show up and you handle business. That you show up and you deliver immense value to the people in your life. The lesson, however, it doesn't stop there. So I make a living by uplifting others, right? By helping teams focus on the positive, even in the worst and most difficult of times. But even the teacher fails sometimes. A simple shift in my focus could have altered the course of my day. But instead, I chose to focus on the negative versus the positive. So think about a time in your life where your focus has caused you to go off course in a really negative way. I could have held on to the fact that my daughter, who I've had part in raising to be so sweet and kind and giving, gave me everything she had to give in this broken mermaid keychain. But instead, I let the whirlwind of the business impact my day. Think about times in your life where you've allowed something bad to take over the good. Think about a time when you've been given a gift that touched your soul so much. Did you hold on to that feeling? Or was it like, sweet, on to the next thing? I believe fully in being congruent to who you are, to standing true to your values. But on that day, on my birthday, I slipped. I slipped. So think about times in your life where you've slipped, where you have maybe snapped at a spouse, at your kids, for something so trivial, so insignificant that it really doesn't matter. When you've been short with your team because you're just so stinking busy. Or how about like me, when you've taken a positive moment and let the negative overcome it to impact your day. So my challenge in this is to figure out how you can show up, preferably without puke in your hair, because let's face it, it's gross. But show up so that you can be an even truer definition of what a leader is meant to be. You hold the title of entrepreneur, right? But you also hold some other pretty important titles. It could be mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, son, daughter, maybe spouse. For me, not only do I hold the title of entrepreneur, but I'm a wife and I'm a mama. And let me tell you, when you come across a woman who holds those 3 titles, you better watch out, because we are committed on a whole other level. And I don't mean this. I mean that we don't have a choice but to show up in everything that we do. So show up so that your kids can see that their mom, their dad, doesn't quit. Show up so that your team can see and reflect your level of commitment. Show up and deliver the God-given talent that you were blessed with, because the bottom line is if you don't, you are doing this world a disservice. But most of all, over anything else, show up for you. You owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself every single day.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. You're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.